Back here on Spotlight, new season, new Giants? Question mark? I mean, Lord, they hope so. They finished dead last in the NFC East, coming off a 3-14 season. And the quarterback room is interesting, right? Because they signed Russ, who came over from Pittsburgh. They signed Jameis and then draft, unexpectedly for some, Jaxson Dart. Remember, we thought Shedeur Sanders was going to be the QB of the future for the Giants. Now, we heard from the front office earlier in the offseason, and we know the pressure is on for the Giants to win this year and win now and be in that mode, but the schedule is one of the toughest in the NFL, so it is not going to be an easy task for the G-men to win right now. So let's welcome in Emory Hunt and Bryant McFadden. We're going to hone in on the Giants, gentlemen, for the upcoming season, and we kind of alluded to the QB room. It is interesting. Russ, Jameis. We also have Jaxson Dart in there. So I will kick it off to you first, B-Mac. What quarterback gives the Giants the best chance to win right now?
Well, the best quarterback that gives the best pregame speeches in the entire NFL, for me personally, is Jameis Winston, and here's why. He is a better playmaker at the quarterback position than the nearest competitor, who is Russell Wilson, in my opinion. Because if you look at Jameis, I understand you have your concerns or reservations about his ability to protect the football. But one thing you do not question, Emory, is his ability to push the football down the field and do so with confidence. His ability to make plays happen. When you look at the bright spots that we saw from Jameis a year ago with Cleveland, he was pushing the football down the field. The entertainment aspect was there. So if he can find a way to fine-tune his skills to protect the football, along with some of the pass catches he has, most notable in Malik Neighbors, I mean, this is a guy he's shown the ability to do more with less in terms of the talent surrounding him. And because of that, Jacqueline, Emory, I got to go famous Jameis.
How about we compromise, B-Mac? How about we say Russell Winston or Jameis Wilson, right? Because either one of these guys could be what they need for New York. So I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. But I will quickly say, just to add some color to what you're talking about, B-Mac, I was out there this morning watching these guys practice, and you see the significance. Of course, we already know this about Jameis Winston's arm, but you see the difference in the velocity on the deep ball versus Russell Wilson's velocity. The reason why I'm going with Russell Wilson, the steadier hand. He doesn't have that helter-skelter nature within his game like a Jameis Winston does. But for me, both guys definitely are an improvement and an upgrade for what they have, what they had last year. And when you get a Russell Wilson and you have the ability to keep the steady hand on and keep the offense on pace and move the football down the field and end up with 3 or 7 or whatnot, and you have that trust and continuity within what he does offensively, if you have to go to Jameis Winston, yes, you feel confident that he can come in there and get the party started right away. He's like instant offense. So either one is fine for me, but I'll side with the steady hand of Russell Wilson.
Also, my apologies, Tommy Cutlets. I didn't mention you, but he is still there in the QB room. He just wasn't in the VO, guys, so I didn't mention. But Tommy DeVito also in there. Emory, I know you mentioned that you were out there watching these guys at mini camp. So let's talk about Jaxson Dart, right? So when do you think we will see Jaxson Dart start? Whether it's, sitting behind Jameis or Russ, whatever happens there. What do you think the best approach is for Jaxson Dart when you're looking at the schedule and Emory based off of what you've seen out there at minicamp?
Pull up 2026 schedule, because that's exactly what I expect to see Jaxson Dart next year. They really made this thing an ideal situation for the Giants, because ideally you don't want your starting quarterback that needs time to grow to get out there right away, your rookie guy, right? If you're drafting me in the first round, you're saying, hey, we kind of want this guy to play now. They have the luxury of having 2 solid veterans to where you can kind of barricade yourself from putting him out there too early. Because today, and this is a case in point of why they wanted to let him just slowly cook and develop behind the scenes. When you think about the situational football part, that was the biggest concern for Jaxson Dart coming out of Ole Miss. Today they ran a drill where you had the ball for 1 drive. You had to either get 3 or 7, depending on what the scoreboard said. Jameis drove his team down there, got the 2-point conversion. Russell Wilson got them in field goal range, but the kicker missed the field goal. Jaxson Dart held the football, kind of got shell-shocked when the first option was taken away, and took a sack. Game over. So imagine if that was a guy you were trying to get ready to play week 1. Now imagine that, zoom out a little bit, we're getting him prepared for week 1 of 2026. We can work him through that process and get him to be a little bit quicker in diagnosing coverage or getting off of his first read or being quicker to take off and run because he has the athleticism. I think this is an ideal situation for both Brian Daboll and Jaxson Dart to get the best out of both of their abilities.
All right, so Emory is feeling like we're going to see Jaxson Dart start all the way in 2026. If we talk about the biggest offseason additions right now, B-Mac, what do you think the biggest difference maker is in the offseason? And it's a little obvious for the Giants.
Yeah, it's very, very obvious for me. It's Abdul Carter. He was the best defensive player in the draft, and he fell into the lap of the New York Giants. And the reason why he's the biggest addition, because he's instantly is probably the second best pass rusher in just terms of talent and pure potential. He instantly is the second best pass rusher behind Brian Burns, right? Now, if you factor in having Brian Burns, having Kayvon Thibodeau, and now implementing Abdul Carter, either playing the 3 technique, the 5 technique, you can have what I call a race car package with 3 defensive ends in the lineup, rushing the passer in passing situations. And Emory talked about the concern for the lack of depth with the secondary for the Giants off camera. Emory, if the pass rush can live up to the billing, that actually could help the concern issues in the secondary. So if he's able to provide the production and consistency that we saw with Penn State, this instantly improves the entire defense. And that's the one telling sign. If you want to have progression in your defense, you find guys that can go hunt the quarterback. Abdul Carter was the best hunter in this past year's draft, and so far he's really living up to the billing throughout offseason regimens for the Giants. And
I also appreciate the dance moves that we got in there on the video as well. What about the flip side, Emory? What about the biggest offseason losses and guys whose presence are going to be missed the most there for the Giants?
I guess as an offensive guy, I love the connection of having a lot of pieces in one area. So let's say if you have a great receiver, I want 4 of them, right? The Giants, B-Mac just laid out perfectly what they have in terms of rushing the passer. I wish they would have found a way to keep Azeez Ojulari, not because he went to Philadelphia. We saw that worked out for Saquon Barkley, but because now you have an even better NASCAR package, race car package to get after the quarterback, along with what they have with Dexter Lawrence and also the rookie Darius Alexander. So that defensive front is going to be a problem. And losing Jason Pinnock back there in the secondary at safety, who was a top playmaker for them, a starter for them, that weakens the depth here in the secondary at both corner and safety. So they're going to have to really rely on that defensive front seven that B-Mac talked about to get pressure consistently throughout the game to help spare what we could potentially see from the back end.
So one of the biggest storylines, of course, with the Giants is the schedule. It is the hardest in the league, and this is a team coming off, as mentioned, a 3-win season, and it's not easy. They start with 2 division games on the road, Washington and Dallas, and then their home opener. Oh, you get Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Easy task there, right? Not. B-Mac, what do you think the schedule is going to look like, or the schedule prediction, I should say, for the Giants?
Well, for me, best case scenario for the New York Giants, record-wise, 5-12. That's the best case scenario I see. You talked about how difficult they get off this 2025 season. Washington, Dallas, Kansas City Chargers, all playoff caliber teams. 3 teams made the playoffs a year ago in Kansas City, the Chargers, and Washington. I see 4 losses. You have to go to New Orleans and come back with a win. You have to, because if they lose that ball game, it could be a long, ugly season. But outside of that, you look at Philly, Denver, Philly again, San Francisco, Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit. Look at the notable games. And you just gave us, Jacqueline, yes, this is the hardest schedule in the National Football League. How? Who did they piss off? I don't know. They just said Giants. They treated the Giants like they actually were the Philadelphia Eagles, and they won the entire championship last year, the Super Bowl. No, they were a bad team last year. They're supposed to receive grace and favor and have a few winnable games in the schedule. Emory, for me, best case scenario, I got to go 5-12.
I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic, B-Mac. I'm going to say 7-10. And with the surprise upset win in week 1 against Washington on the road, they always play those guys tough. What concerns me is the depth of the Giants, and I think the depth really shows up on the back end of the schedule, which is why I have them losing a lot of those games on the second column more so than the first. I think they'll get out to a great start, happy story, and then the depth start to showcase itself as we get toward the postseason.
So Emory is just bringing Giants fans up with a big win against the Commanders to open up the season, just to crash them down. 7-10 for Emory, 5-12. That is the best case scenario, according to BMAC. Gentlemen, we certainly appreciate it as we look ahead to the Giants and how they're going to tackle that tough schedule. Here's what Sportsline thinks, the projections for the New York Giants. Right under 5 wins, a 0.2% chance to win the division, and a 1.4% chance to make the playoffs. It's not impossible.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, but 0.2% to win the division? Yikes.